Well, how are you doing? Okay, this video is going to be called Blackpool Revisited. We all remember, if you were around at the time, back last year, early last year, I think it was, in 2021, this whole Blackpool photograph thing turned up with all this nonsense. And I ended up having a 5 hour debate with Ranty on Conspiracy Cast channel over it. And there was a lot of back and forth. But it was proven that it wasn't proof of a globe at all. And one of the arguments I made, and I didn't have this software or know about this software at the time, didn't have my head screwed on, should have been looking for it. One of the arguments I made at the time was this, and I made this within the debate with Ranty. And he conceded on it, actually. He conceded on it. We had a break and he conceded on it afterwards. And I don't really care what he has to say about it. He can look at or anyone can look at the debate. It's on Conspiracy Cast channel. It's a 5 hour debate. The point I made was this, right? This was an orthographic view viewed within, I was going to make it bigger, within, there's an elevation profile from Google Earth. Here is the observer about 20 foot. Here is 520 foot high Blackpool Tower. There's the line of sight. So with this line of sight, if we bring it over, it seems to intersect the top of Dale Craig, right? But the problem is this. Look at the height of Dale Craig. It's about half a mile high. So if you take this half a mile high and you look at the distance between Blackpool Tower here and this half a mile high, because it's an orthographic view, they can just make this big, small, this area in between big or small. The point is that this half mile high is not the distance between here and here. That was my point. So there was no point in, like Randy was pointing out, that the intersection line touched the top of the mountain. Yeah, but that's when there's only this much distance between them. In reality, there's a much bigger distance between them. So I should make it bigger. So make it right. So if the line continues on, this red line, this is the observer's line of sight. Once they're looking over the top of the tower and the line continues on, and we move the mountain back a bit, because we move it back here to be about 8 miles away. It's about 4 miles away here, about 8 miles away back there, maybe, or more, maybe more, whatever. The point is that as we move the mountain back and keep the line of sight, the angle of sight, I should say, the same, what happens is that the line of sight or angle of sight ends up going over the top of where the top of the mountain would be. So that was my point. That once that mountain moved back, right? Because obviously this is not the full distance. This is not like 64 kilometers between this Blackpool Tower and the mountain here. If the mountain is only just less than half a mile high, 778 meters, then how could it be this big with only this much distance between them? It couldn't be. Obviously this is an orthographic view, so they're not showing the full distance between the two. So my point was, when the mountain moved back further to its full distance, then the line of sight looking over the top of the tower would end up looking over the top of the mountain. Because our opposition, the argument is that the mountain should always be intersecting the line of sight from the observer because the tower was so much lower. And I argued, obviously, that it was an optical drop and visual occultation issue. I'm not going to even go to show them now. I have videos out there on what they are. And I showed them with this and how it works with this and what they are. None of them wanted to hear it. They just wanted to argue against it. They didn't want to address visual occultation or optical drop, which is not unusual. They don't want to address that that they can't deal with. So they just wanted to ignore the whole lot. But none of them could address this. There's no way that mountain can move back, right? If it's like, there's no way that mountain, if you look at its height there's no way it can be that close to the tower. In reality, it has to be further back. So, and as it moves further back, the observer's line of sight will eventually clear the top of it. That's what happens. But they ignore that because that happened during the debate. Because we ended up having a thing during the debate. There was a problem with the way I did it on Google Earth, and this is a rectified version that I actually sent to Randy Flat Earth, someone I have no interest in talking to. This is, and when I sent this to afterwards or showed this to afterwards, they couldn't deny it or they couldn't debunk it. Randy Flat Earth during the debate, he admitted it after the break. He admitted that if you move the mountain back, then this line of sight is going to go over the top of it. So just to put all that to bed, right? Because that's only a load of nonsense. Right? People can argue if they want about it, but there's no way to deny that, right? So I'm just going to put it all to bed. This is GeoGebra, right? Or whatever the name of it. Geometry software. Okay, so I have the observer here, right? At 19.3 kilometers from Blackpool Tower, which is about 12 miles. There's Blackpool Tower, right? The observer is at 6 meters here. Blackpool Tower is 158 meters high, right? That's its height. And I have Dale Craig at 778 meters and 64.38 kilometers from Blackpool Tower. So there's a 52 mile or around just over 83 kilometers distance between the observer and Dale Craig. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. I'm going to just show first. I'll just show the observer. Let's go in here. It'll be a bit of the in and out stuff going on. I have to go right in because it's such a distance and such a size difference and height difference. So right. Okay, 0.06, 6 meters, right? I'm working off of this small scale. 0.06, 6 meters high, right? The observer. Let's go back out. Let's hope this doesn't make anyone dizzy. Blackpool Tower. Just to show the heights. One 1.58, 158. Okay. So it's 158 meters, 6 meters for the observer, 158 meters for Blackpool Tower, and there's a 19.3 kilometer distance between them. And now to the mountain. Okay. Okay, Dale Craig. Okay. 778. Can you see over here? 7.78. So 778 meters. 64.38 kilometers from Blackpool Tower. Now, to the important bit. Right? There is 500 meters high. Right? This here. It's going to show here. This here. See if I have it down. Right? This is the Blackpool Tower height, 158 meters in comparison, this little purple thing here, in comparison to Dale Craig. So this purple one, cross here is the height of Blackpool Tower in comparison to this orange one up, this orange dot up here, which is the height of Blackpool of Dale Craig. So it's 158 meters here, 778 meters up here. I have this line here set at 500 meters. This is the angle line I brought from the observer, set it at 500 meters. Okay, so that's at 500 meters up on Dale Craig. I'm just going to show. Not that it really matters anymore, but I just want to tie up loose ends. I don't like to leave anything go. If I bring it into the tower, into Blackpool Tower, keeping it at 500 meters. As you can see, it's intersecting the tower. So if you look at the photo, the original photo, I actually should have it with me. I can't find it on my computer. The original photo, if the observer is looking about 3/4 way up the tower, they would be intersecting about 500 meters up the mountain, right? So that's all fine. But my argument was, because the claim is that there's no way the observer can look over the top of the tower and not see the top of the mountain, right? That it's gone down behind our curve, right? Such nonsense. What other rubbish? So I'm going to go in here now and I'm going to bring the angle line from the observer just up above, right? There's the angle line. Bring it up here. Just going to find it. Now, up there, it's at 800 meters. So the angle line is at 800 meters, right? I could even bring it down lower, if maybe even Bring it down lower maybe. Now 790 meters, right? So as you can see, just want to make sure, as you can see, it's over the top of Dale Craig, right? So an observer, right, with the observer, I'm just going to show, where's it going to, right? The observer's eye line is looking over the top of Dale Craig now by, I don't know, 10, 15 meters. And as you can see, they're looking over the top of Blackpool Tower. So this is only slightly over the top of Blackpool Tower, really. It's not too far above Blackpool Tower. So if they're looking up over the top of Blackpool Tower, then they will be also looking above, their angle line will be above Dale Craig. And as you can see, there is no curve to this diagram. It is horizontal, proving that when the observer looks over the top of Blackpool Tower or up at Blackpool Tower, they will not see the top of Dale Craig. Right? They will not see the top of Dale Craig. They will always be looking up in the air above the top of Dale Craig, across a horizontal plane, proving that all that Blackpool stuff, that arguments that the ballers brought, was total and utter super rubbish. They wouldn't, even though there was a black swan involved in it, it was called Blackpool Swan for the laugh. Like, it was such pathetic rubbish. And Ranty supposedly changed sides due to that photograph. You know, it's so terrible. It's such utter rubbish. And here is the absolute proof here. You know, that when the observer is looking over the top of Blackpool Tower, as I said, as I showed, look, right, if the mountain goes back to where it should be, then in comparison, if it's all scaled right, then the eye line will go above the mountain. You know, there's no big deal about it. You know, I mean, if I move this up a bit more, I move it up to 800 meters, let's say, right? One more time we look. Now it's up even higher. So if it's already above the tower, it's going to be more even above the tower. But the point is that looking up, you won't see the looking up above the top of the tower, you won't see the top of the mountain. Whereas that's what our opposition was claiming. You have to see the top of the mountain because the mountain is 4 or 5 times higher or whatever, 4.5 times higher. And I remember trying to scale this, and I couldn't scale it simply because I just didn't have the space. I couldn't get my camera low. I had a camera that was only 9 millimeters. And look, there you go. And I move it up to 800 meters, like the eye line, and looking over the top of Blackpool Tower, like, you're seeing nothing but sky. You're not seeing Dale Craig. You're not seeing any of that. You're seeing nothing but sky. So there you go. I mean, there's absolute proof that the whole thing was a farce. And our opposition had no claims. And this absolutely proves that the Earth is flat. You know, there's no way around that. The Earth is flat. This is exactly what I said. And there's not even and this is all autographic, there's not even optical drop or visual occultation being taken into account here. What I might do is, when I get to learn how to use the 3D calculator in this a bit better, I'll try and maybe model it out in that, just to show the optical drop and visual occultation. But the point is that there you go. I mean, all their claims debunked. You know, all their claims. You know, so there's a 52-mile distance between these two. And this is 19.3 kilometers or 12 miles from the Blackpool Tower, and this is 64.38 kilometers from Blackpool Tower to Dale Craig. So it's debunked. There's no way around it. All our claims on that day is debunked. IonLens can copy this in this GeoGebra. So there you go. I don't know what to say. I mean, exactly what I said was true. And Ranty switched for nothing. Not really. See,